The most popular thing that was asked for review was for me to review chord types, the triads, 3-note chords. So I'm going to do that real quick here. And again, email me if you have any questions about this while you're reviewing. Chords are built on the interval of a third. And as you know from the interval discussion that we just had, thirds are 3 steps away from each other in the alphabet. So A, B, C, so A to C is a third. If we're around that other circle, other side of the circle there, G, A, B, G to B is a third. So it's basically skipping a note in the scale. So if you went A, B, C, D, E, F, G, if you just did the letter names, A and C is a third, C and E is a third, E and G is a third. Okay, and D to F and F to A is also a third. Okay, so just skipping a note in the scale. So if I go C, D, E, C to E, E, F, G, E to G, etc. Okay, D, E, F, D to F. So those are thirds, right? So there's 2 types of thirds that we're dealing with in chords. There's the major third and the minor third. And as you know from the intervals, the minor third equals 3 half steps, and the major third is equal to 4 half steps. So minor third, 3 half steps, major third, 4 half steps. And that's really as simple as it is, because there's only going to be 2 thirds in the chord. When you build a chord, let's say I'm just going to build this chord. And this is F, A, and C. So F, A, and C. Notice it goes space, space, space. Chords, when they're in close position like this, sometimes called root position, because the root is the note that the chord gets its name from. This is an F chord, and that's the F note, and it's on the bottom. And everything's stacked in thirds. So if the root is on the bottom and everything's stacked in thirds above it, that's called root position. And the names of these are the names of the places of the names of the chord members relate to its place in the scale. If this was an F scale, F would be the first note of my scale. Some kind of A would be the third note of my scale, and some kind of C would be the 5th note. So root we call the first, or the note that the chord gets its name from. Then this is the third, and this is the 5th. So between my root and third, I have 1/3, and between my third and 5th, I have another third, right? So there's 2 thirds in this chord, this one and this one. Now, if there's 2 thirds in the chord, and we're just dealing with 2 types, then there's 4 types of triads possible. There's one with 2 majors, one with 2 minors, there's one with a major on the bottom, minor on the top, and there's one with minor on the bottom, major on the top. That's it. That's all there can be. 4 types. So here's the way it works. When we have F to A, if we go down here and we count, remember when we're counting the distance, we are, I don't know if you can actually see the letter names. There we go. That's better. If we're counting the distance between the notes, F is 0 because we're counting half steps now. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. F to A is a 4 half step interval. So that puppy is going to be called a major third. So this is a major third between the root and third. And then A to C, we look back down here, A, 0, 1, 2, 3. A to C is a 3 half step interval, so it's a minor third. So up here on top we have a minor third between the third and the 5th. Okay, so if we have that construction, major third on the bottom, minor third on the top, that is called a major triad, a major chord, aka, in this case, we would just do a capital F. Capital letter by itself is the major chord. Now, if we had the opposite construction, let's say we had an A flat in that chord. We would have F, 1, 2, remember 0, 1, 2, 3. F to A flat is a 3 half-step interval, minor third. A flat to C is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or a major third. So this is the opposite. And if you think about it, it makes logical sense. If we took that middle note and if we took it down a half step, then we're making this interval smaller by a half step, and at the same time we're making this interval bigger by a half step. So we've just traded. Now we have minor third on the bottom and major third on the top. If we have that construction, then we have a minor triad, and we would call that F minor. Or sometimes you see a minus, little F minus sign there, okay? Now, the other two work like this. If I had back to my A here, this is A natural now, natural, okay? I'm gonna erase that, but I have my double bar here, so we're back to the natural. So if I had A natural and C sharp, then I have two major thirds. So that would be called, to be consistent, that would be called augmented. And it would be written F plus, or sometimes you'll see F aug. Okay, that could be as well. I'm going to move down here for the last one because I sort of don't have enough room up there. If I had F, A flat, and C flat, I still have an F chord, but now I have minor thirds, F to A flat, 1, 2, 3, and A flat to C flat. Remember, C flat's the same as B, so 1, 2, 3. So I have two minor thirds, minor third, minor third. That type of chord is called diminished, and that chord would be written like this. F, little circle, or it's really like the same symbol as the degree symbol. So F diminished, or sometimes F dim, like that. Okay, that's it. Those are the four types of chords: major, minor, augmented, and diminished. And basically it works like that. There's major third on the bottom, minor third on the top, in root position. That's a major chord. Minor third on the bottom, major third on the top, root position, that's a minor chord. Two major thirds, both of them major thirds, that's augmented. Both of them minor thirds, that's diminished. And that's all there is to the triads. One little tip, when you're thinking of measuring thirds, think about this. If the third, take away all the sharps and flats for a second. If the third contains one of the natural half steps between B and C and E and F, for instance, C to E, that doesn't contain one of the natural half steps. E to F is outside of that. So since that doesn't contain a natural half step, that's a major third. So if we test it, 1, 2, 3, 4, it sure is. Now, if we went C to E flat, of course, we've now taken that major third and we've decreased it to E flat. So C to E flat's a minor third. If we went D to F, that's a third. but that does contain a natural half step, so that's a minor third. So if the third, without sharps and flats on it, if the third contains one of the natural half steps, it's a minor third. If it doesn't, it's a major third. And if you can think about that, you can quickly add accidentals to it to change those around. So if I know D to F is a minor third, then I know D to F sharp is a major third. If I know F to A is a major third because it doesn't contain the natural half steps, then I know F sharp to A is a minor third because I've made that smaller. Or F to A flat is also a minor third. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Again, email me if you have questions before the test.